And we're cool. So, welcome to week 5. Holy smokes. We are at the Vishuddhi chakra this week, which is the throat chakra. So, we've covered the Muladhara, which is the root. We've covered Svadhisthana, which is the sacral. We've covered hold on. Are we week 5? Are we week 4? 4, 5?
I don't know.
Hold
I
on.
did it last week.
It's 5. Yeah,
Root,
because we did
Svadhisthana.
You did
part.
the heart last week, right?
Mm-hmm. It doesn't seem like week 5, but it is week 5.
Sorry, I almost skipped over a whole chakra. That's what I was saying. Okay, so then we did Manipura, right, which is your solar plexus, and then we did heart last week. Yes, great. I had 5 written on everything. I was like, no. So we are at the throat today. So are you guys all caught up? Sharon, did you have a chance to watch last week? No?
Yeah, no.
Okay. Well, Christina, you were here last week. How would you sum up the heart chakra, Anahata?
Ooh.
Quiz, quiz.
Oh, I'm going to look at my notes if that's okay. So it's basically like to love and to be loved. Um, and I know that Jen talked about like these triangles that form a star and we're kind of in the middle and everything kind of circles around us, but it's like a sense of connectedness and I'm trying to find um there was like so much, yeah, love and loving, accepting support, feeling like happy and light, ability to express love to self and others, and being able to say no without feeling bad about it. I think we were hoping that a lot of people would open up their hearts. Not us, obviously, because we're like pretty cool people, but other people in the world that maybe are walking around with a lot of, turmoil or whatnot. It's just, it can really change someone's day if you lead with a smile or your heart, or you just kind of assume the best in people because there's like that sense of playfulness and community. That's kind of how I think I would sum it up.
Yeah, and when you mentioned the triangles, so did you pull that from your notes?
I did.
Okay, wicked. So let's talk a little bit about that because one of the things that came up for us last week in our conversation was that we as women, especially, have this innate ability to soften, to be empathetic, to open our heart. And it's a beautiful thing when we do. But then when it's too open and it gets hurt, we go in the completely opposite direction. And one of the things that we talked about is, having this great understanding about how to love, but not necessarily understanding how to protect that energy center, how to protect the anahata. Because with so much empathy, with so much compassion, and so much understanding, and so much nurturing, um, we've kind of collectively, I think, we talked about not really knowing where to draw the line at times, right? When we talked about the Anahata chakra and we talked about protecting this energy, it was more or less, preparing when we're going out into the world. And in meditation, you can envision yourself in this sort of bubble, whatever visualization you want to use. The one that was given to me was like 2 triangles, right, in the opposite direction, and you're kind of in the middle. And if you think about it being 3-dimensional, it's kind of like circulating around you, just protecting that energy. And so I think it kind of flows well into today's energy center because there's a sense of discernment that we need when we're trying to protect the heart chakra, right? But we want to be open, right? Like, this is life. We will stumble on hard times. People will hurt us. This is our samskara. This is our purpose here, to receive and give and to hurt and to be hurt, right? We've done it to people. People have done it to us. It's absolutely impossible as humans in our imperfection to expect that we won't fall on hard times or that somebody won't do something. So, how do we do this and continue to keep our hearts completely open? How did the sages and mystics do this when it was like, again, being on the outside and observing? And this is kind of the pattern that comes up for us. If you think about like guided meditations that you've been through before, it's been the same thing, right? Where they're like, just witness a thought and let it pass and watch it come and watch it go. And this is living in yoga and this sense of detachment that we are trying to achieve. It's like, this is a thing that's happening, but how do I not get my heart so caught up in it, yet still be a very loving and compassionate and empathetic human being? So, with that being said, we move on to Vishuddhi, the throat chakra. So, you have your workbooks with you today. We can pull this out because I know we kind of end up reviewing this in the end, but we can get, I think it's page. Hold on here. Let me get this for you guys. Is this the right one here? I think I'm missing a page. There is a throat chakra page, Sharon, if you have it there with you, that is talking about like your affirmations, your mantra, the stones, that kind of thing. So if you have that page, you can pull it out. If not, you can just tap into the notes that I'm going to review. Again, the notes are always on the membership site too. So you guys can always pull from that. But if you want to make your own notes, again, kind of pull from the things that resonate with you and know that you don't have to do all of the things. All right. How you doing, Efrosini? Efrosini, here, you guys. We're going to sit around in a circle. Hello. Okay.
Hello.
Sorry, that's a long story.
That's okay. So we covered the heart, like we just recapped the heart chakra, but it's in the membership site. And also if anybody is having trouble, oh, sorry, we're kind of dark here. Let me go this way. Efrosini, you can come sit, if you want to come sit like here, and that way they can see you. If anyone's having a hard time logging into the membership site as well, let me know, okay? Okay. So
I started watching it and I didn't finish it.
I know, so Christina said too. It's a lot, so you kind of like stop and go and take notes. It's all good. Okay. So
What's today's chakra?
today's chakra is the throat, which is also in Sanskrit called the Vishuddhi chakra. So we talked about too, from the Manipura up, the solar plexus up, this is getting into like the higher realms of consciousness. One of the things that came up in the heart chakra too was the fact that usually at a young age in Indian culture, because they understand that femininity, we make our decisions more with our heart, and what is of the heart will then be the outcome of the mind. Young girls usually begin practicing their meditations in the heart chakra. Okay, so as we go on to the throat, the mudra and the meditation I'll talk to you about, there's actually like the mudra is like a gesture, right? It is a way to harness energy within that chakra. So when you look online, you'll see a million different hand gestures for different things if you want to cultivate more peace in your life. But we've been reviewing the ones that are associated with the chakra, but there are many more. But that is the purpose of a mudra, to harness the energy of that particular hand gesture. For the throat chakra, there is what is called the Khechari mudra, and we're actually going to be using our tongue for that one in meditation. And so this is a very interesting energy center, and I'll explain to you how this all comes together. Has anybody watched the Rewired program in Gaia yet? Did I give you the login for that? No? Okay, I'm going to give it to you guys. It's a lot. Gaia is an app like Netflix, and it's just all things spiritual. It's incredible. There's like information on there of ancient pyramids that were undiscovered in Mexico. It's wild. But Dr. Joe Dispenza, who is like a scientific spiritual researcher, very clearly explains the science behind meditation and the chakras. And so this is wild, he talks about the thing that is referenced to this particular mudra that we're going to use. So again, just incredible to know that they knew this stuff before any science came out, and now we're here dissecting it today.
This is on Netflix.
No, this is like Netflix. Gaia is the app. Remind me if I forget, and I will provide you guys the login. It's like $130 that I paid for the year subscription, and I'm just giving it to everybody because you got to watch it. It's an 11-part series. You'll definitely need a notebook. He gets quite sciencey at times, but if you stop and listen and take notes, it'll very much make sense to you. Okay, The Rewired Program by Dr. Joe Dispenza. Okay, so the mantra that is associated, remember that frequency that we talked about, the sound that is associated with every chakra is hum. Okay, it is in the faculty of sound. Remember we talked about every chakra being related to an element? The throat chakra is associated with the faculty of sound, obviously, because there's a vibration that comes from this particular energy center. So we're going to get into more of that and understanding that. The stones or crystals that you would want to use in meditation, or just even if you're wanting to work on this particular chakra, you can carry it around with you, would be aquamarine, really pretty ones, turquoise, fluorite, tanzanite, lapis lazuli, agate, and alexandrite. Oils, ylang is a big one that comes up for a lot of the chakras. So I feel like whenever you're doing chakra work, just make sure you have ylang around if you have none of the others. But more would be frankincense and chamomile and peppermint and geranium as well. And then in terms of a balanced throat chakra, okay, really tap into this list because again, this chakra or energy center has really been known for its communication. That's sort of the one tagline that you see in reference to this energy center, but it goes so much deeper than that because it's not just our ability to communicate effectively when we speak, it's also our ability to receive information. And we receive information in a lot of different ways. That's not just from person to person, right? It's the information coming at us in the world, which then makes up our perception, which then we speak. This makes sense? So this is why this particular energy center too, I mean, we've talked about the power behind all of them, but this is another big one that is in the higher realms of consciousness, right? So the more healed or the more you can open or balance your Vishuddhi chakra is the more power that, and there's a beautiful story that ties into this too that was given to me in India. So I can't wait to share this with you guys. So to be balanced is to be clear, confident in your speech and in your voice. Your ability to express yourself, and this is just, again, tapping into what we talked about at the beginning of this class, whether it's crying or anger or laughter or joy or envy, whatever it is, your ability to express yourself freely. Listening to your intuition and your inner voice, right? So think about that. It's also the center of energy, of your internal dialogue. Your sense of integrity, which then comes out in your words, right? Your expression of your creativity. Your ability to communicate with ease. Your expression of will, free will. Your ability to listen to other people. Speaking your truth, again, in whatever energy, not only when it's good and easy. Speaking your absolute truth from your own lived experience and being confident in that truth. Being honest and open about how you feel. Confident in self-expression, calm and patient in your speech, again, with yourself even. How many times do we need to give ourselves our own pep talk and instead we don't, we just shut ourselves down and we stay quiet. Accepting, trusting, and acting on your inner guidance, especially as we work through healing through this chakra. It starts to get really charged. So it's like, I need to use this voice and speak. And it's like, you feel like you're kind of treading carefully around that. So it's acting on that inner guidance. Feeling free and willing to voice your opinions. This is another big one. Standing up for yourself. Advocating for yourself. The sense of pride in what you say. And then I feel like this all comes down to this statement too, is believing that your words are even worth listening to. If we believed we were worth listening to, we'd speak more often, no? Okay. Anything come up for anybody in that list?
Oh, God. Yeah, that's the one I need to work on.
Yeah. Do
Yeah.
you feel it's more the receiving of information, your internal information, or
More
the
expressing.
expressing?
Yeah, I'm good at it, bringing it in. Just can't get it out.
Okay, for you guys? Anything? No, we don't have to share.
Yeah, it all speaks to me.
It all
All
speaks.
of it.
Okay.
This whole, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know that I'm good with receiving or giving or, yeah, this is definitely a hard one.
Okay. Okay. Christina, anything you want to share?
I think for me, it depends on the day and like who I'm around. So like I have no problem putting Jason in, like telling Jason how I feel sometimes, which is my husband. I just did about an hour before this meeting. But sometimes like in my career, I have a hard time communicating. So yeah, there's definitely always like that areas and depending who's around and things like that. I think I would like to be more consistent.
If I think back to becoming a mom too, like this one I really struggled with, right? The decisions of like, how do I protect you from the world versus tell you what's going on in the world without telling you too much of the world, it really tested this energy center. Because you also want to create a sense of safety, right? For the people that you care about. So it is, if you're feeling an energy inside of you, that's like, yeah, it's because this is a big one. This is a really big one. Okay, so some activities that we can do to balance this chakra in our daily life is to speak up and speak out for what you believe in. And I will say this very similarly to being an entrepreneur and being a parent. You will relate to this too. Just say it. We can drive ourselves crazy with like different ways that we want to reframe it, because a lot of times too, it can get really uncomfortable if we're trying to be the person that says, I want to avoid confrontation or I want to avoid conflict. And the reality is that not everybody's going to agree with you. And trust me when I tell you, even when you put it together formally, eloquently, and you think it through, somebody else's opinion, it might trigger them and you might get a rise out of them. And that's another step in learning how to communicate differently, and another step to learning how to listen differently because the feeling, like everything else, like I said in the beginning of this, and all of these things, things are going to come. Storms are going to come. Conflict is going to come. Just, you got to be there and witness it. And then you just let it go. And it's always coming back to like, how am I reframing? What else do I need to express? What did I not express? Or is this where I draw the line and step away from this situation? Right? But we can't think that like, I will know I communicate effectively when it's good. Like, oh, I communicated effectively because it was well received by this person. You can communicate effectively and it still will not be well received. Okay. So there's that. Just speak up and speak out for what it is you believe in. Like exclamation mark. There's no other way around it. Okay. Be honest about who you are within yourself. It's the ability to also speak honestly to you. You know, communication and expression in any form. This is a big one too. So I really think potentially, maybe this resonates with some of you, that because there's such a hold on the ability to communicate or express, you might be restricting yourself in other areas of expression. Painting, singing, poetry, something. So especially if you're the person that has a lot of anxiety about this particular, stepping out and expressing, start looking for other forms of expression that will help nurture that ability to express. That helps to build that courage. Engage in conversations with people and organized groups with similar interests to you. That's the best healing modality for every single energy center, I think. You get to talking to people and you're like, oh, wow, like I've been struggling with that feeling too, or that, expressing that thing in the same way. Or similar to, right? So read a story or recite poetry even out loud, whether it's to people or to yourself. Again, just helping to think of watering the plant. You're just trying to nurture that energy center to get out there. Cool. Foods that would help heal would be clear, fresh foods, broths. And so with that, like broth soup, a broth-based soup instead of a cream-based soup. Because if you think of, it even says to avoid dairy, right? So if you think of dairy and like the mucus that it kind of blocks everything, right? So yeah. And then, okay, affirmations for this one would be, I clearly and freely speak my truth today. Could be something that you can repeat as a mantra on your mala. I speak to be heard.
What was the first one you said?
Speak to my truth today. And I really like the second one. I speak to be heard. I am comfortable to express my feelings, and I do this with ease. And I am worth being listened to. So blocked throat chakra would be, of course, the opposite of everything that we just said, right? The inability to express yourself or speak out. And then with that, right, think of all these times How often were you misunderstood because you didn't speak out? You may also feel that you need to be a little bit more secretive, or you may feel like you're not a good listener if you're feeling blocked in this chakra. And then to be overactive in this chakra. So this is where we've really restricted our ability to communicate. We've really, I think of making ourselves small, like we don't want to be seen in this chakra. We don't want to fully express. So we might be on the flip side of it and be really too opinionated, really loud, really critical, gossipy, yell or talk over others, or even use harsh words. Anybody coming to mind right now? Got a few people. So, but again, it's such beautiful information because we can work through it all and not get into that. That energy is really hard to hold. The yelling, the harshness, right? When you can communicate in a way that frees you, it's very liberating, like all of the chakras. So, does anybody have any questions before we get into more of the depth of this one? Anything? Questions or shares? No? Okay. There's a beautiful story in the Gita, and the Gita is a Hindu scripture. Okay. And so Vishnu, there's these different, all of the deities are different manifestations of God. Okay. And so all of the deities have different responsibilities. And I've always, I don't know if I've said this in the beginning of this course, but you'll hear me say it repeatedly. I love Hinduism because all of the deities are such a perfect representation of how our personality shifts in different circumstances. Like we are not the same person that we are at work, at home, with our children, with our partner. We shift personality based on our environment, who we're communicating with, right? So I feel like they always depict this really well. So there's a wonderful story that speaks to the nectar and the poison that is of the Vishuddhi chakra. Okay, because Shuddhi in itself means to purify, and it is known as the nectar and the poison center. So when you hear that, you're like, I don't get it. This story will help to clarify. Okay.
It is said that in the primordial past, the Devas and the Rakshasas, symbolizing the forces of good and evil, were continually fighting each other. Each was seeking to dominate and destroy the other. Eventually, Vishnu attempted to resolve the conflict. He suggested they stir up the primordial ocean, which represents the world and the mind, and said they could divide the contents equally between them. This seemed a fair solution, and Vishnu's plan was agreed upon. The ocean was churned and many things came to the surface for sharing and distribution between the Devas and the Rakshasas. In all, 14 things arose, including the nectar of immortality side by side with the worst poison. Of course, both the Devas and the Rakshasas wanted the nectar, but nobody wanted anything to do with the poison. Ultimately, only the Devas got the nectar. Because if it had been given to the vicious Rakshasas, they would have become immortal. The poison could not even be discarded, for wherever it was thrown, it would cause harm. A great dilemma arose, and eventually Vishnu took the poison to Shiva to ask his advice. Shiva swallowed the poison in a single gulp. From that time onwards, one of the names of Lord Shiva has been Nilakantha, the blue-throated one, and he is often depicted this way.
So Shiva is actually like blue when you see him. This is a huge story in India, because what he's saying in this story is that in all of the evil, in the nectar or in the poison that was consumed by him, it was transmuted into bliss, essentially. So again, going back to all of these things that we feel are so uncomfortable in our expression, when in fact, if we can remove ourselves and stand on the outside and see that the difficulty in it, the toughness in it, is here for our learning and can actually be used for good. We have such a hard time with this expression and this energy center because there's so much negative energy that can come in from this energy center. Remember, we talked about, the perceptions of the world are what make our voice, our ability to receive and give information. That's all based on how you perceive the world, or how somebody has impacted you, or how something has impacted you. This dictates how you behave, how you speak, the things you think about. So if we accept, right, this level of acceptance that comes with understanding all of these energy centers and this level of detachment that we're wanting to achieve, right? I want to be able to manage life and move through these emotions in a healthy way without getting so attached to them. How do we do that? We observe, we receive the information, and we transmute it into wonderful, blissful things, is actually what they say. Okay, now here's where it gets even crazier in the story, you guys. Okay, there is a chakra that we are not talking about in this program, so I'm just going to give you a very briefing on it because it's not one that's mainstream. It's called the Bindu. So if you look at Indian culture, a lot of boys will have, and men, boys and men, will have like a piece of their hair tied in a knot and it sticks out in the back. And that is the Bindu chakra. And it is said, and in Christianity, we talk about this too, like this is across all religions, that there is, what has it been called? Like a fluid of the Christ or something, and we celebrate it with wine, okay, in Catholicism and in Christianity. But in the Vedas, it's said that there is a drip that comes in, the nectar, okay, relating to the story, the nectar that it exists in the human mind. And if we use Khichdi mudra, which I talked about, the mudra that we're going to be using in meditation, where we use the tongue, what it is that you roll your tongue all the way to the back of your mouth. And if you can close the nasal passage, you catch the drip, and it is a euphoric experience. Now, what's crazy is that Dr. Joe Dispenza actually talks about the same thing, and it is the cerebral spinal fluid. Do you remember I was talking about this in the beginning? The cerebral spinal fluid, that's why it's really important that we sit really upright in our meditation, travels through the spine into the pituitary gland. And this is where people experience this euphoric feeling, or a sense of like leaving their body and having massive downloads in their meditations. Make sense? Kind of, not really. Sounds really out there, right? Let me read you something else. It is connected to the Kurma Nadi, which is connected to the Vishuddhi. Remember, we talked about the nadis being the different energy channels that run through the body. And so the chakras are just the centers, right? We think of the nadis as like highways. So the Vishuddhi chakra is connected to what's called the Kurma Nadi. And this has actually happened in India, where yogis who have awakened this energy center and been able to achieve Khichdi mudra have been able to overcome the need for food and drink for extended periods of time. So they live with prana in their body. Remember, we talked about prana also being harnessed on the energy that is in the body between the inhalation and the exhalation. So it's the same thing in their meditation. Through this awakening of their Vishuddhi, they have been able to sustain themselves for extended periods of time without food and drink. So it's not to say that that's the goal with what we're trying to do here, but it's to express the power of this particular energy center and also the body. There's not many people that quite understand this. This is why when Joe Dispenza talks about it, it's quite something, because this was ancient text, right? That everyone was like, how do you even get there? They went as far as to cut, I can't remember what this part of your tongue is called, but underneath, people went as far as to cut it so that their tongue could go back. And you can achieve it, but it's actually like practice, right? The more you keep rolling your tongue back there, is the more that part of your tongue stretches, right? So in addition to this, the reason that they're able to sustain this necessity or overcome this necessity of food and water is also because of the euphoric energy that comes within achieving it. Okay. Yeah, I think in reference to that particular chakra, that one takes it really far into the energy fields and the spiritual field. So I think in terms of that, we have pretty well covered everything. Just that the potential of the Vishuddhi is that the center is responsible for receiving thought vibrations, of course, from the people's minds. So this comes back to your intuition, right? If we think about the ability to actually communicate and receive information, we can come up with a better sense of discernment. We learn to trust ourselves even more. So this particular energy center has also been attached to the powerful connection of your intuition. Okay. Does anybody have any questions on that?
I just had a question, if we could backtrack a little bit. I know we talked about foods for like a hot second, and did you only say broth, or was there other foods for this one?
It was like clear, think of like clear and light. So like water would also make sense. A broth-based soup, right? So you can have like a vegetable soup, but like not in a cream base. It's actually telling you to stay away from dairy.
Okay, I was like, what foods are clear?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, I just wanted to make sure that because
if you're thinking of like fruit, right? I would think of like a lot like lemons, limes, right? If you were like squeezing that in water. Even dragon fruit is a very like fresh kind of fruit. Star fruit. You had star fruit before? Yeah.
Have I had it?
Yeah.
I don't think so. I recently tried dragon fruit, but then, okay, I don't want to sound ignorant, but do y'all have like Costco up in Canada?
We do,
Okay,
yes.
so they have like that dragon fruit juice. It's like this big bottle and it's freaking delicious, but it's kind of come and go, hit or miss.
Oh, Costco,
So
yeah.
that's really good.
Okay.
But yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Yeah. Or like coconut water too. That'd be another.
Okay.
Yeah.
We have that in our house from Costco.
Everything comes from Costco.
Thank you.
Welcome. Okay. So are we good with that? Yeah. Okay. So the Khichdi Mudra also comes with a particular style of breathing. You remember in the beginning we did the yogic breathing. So I had you guys breathing into your belly and then your chest. Did I take it into your clavicle? Belly, chest, and neck. Did we do that breath? That's just
I remember doing the belly and the chest on Jayana's call with you, but I don't know that we went further.
Okay. So that one's it's a tough one. It gets really tense too when you're trying to breathe into your collarbone essentially, but that's another step in the yogic breath. But Khichdi Mudra is one that has to be practiced because you're breathing actually from your glottis muscles the muscles in your throat very specifically. And you're also doing the mudra where you're rolling your tongue to the back of your mouth. Okay. So let me know if you guys can hear me because there's a sound to it. Okay.
Yeah.
No, you can't hear that? Hold on. Can you hear? No? Did you hear that?
I heard a little something.
Okay, it wasn't the little squeak I let out. Did you hear my squeak?
No squeak.
Okay, I had like a little tiny.
No.
Okay, so what it is, it's a beautiful breath. It sounds like an ocean. Okay, so we're going to try this. So you're going to take your tongue and roll it back as far back as you can. And it will, in your meditation, especially, like imagine doing this for an hour, your tongue gets tired. So normally what I would do is I would unlock my tongue on the exhale and bring it back in for the inhale. Okay. And what you're trying to do is not push so hard on your nose because that would sound like this. Okay. You are breathing from the back of your throat. And then when you're breathing out, you're also breathing out from the back of your throat. And you will actually feel your glottis muscles contracting. And this breath is called ujjayi. Ujjayi breathing. Okay. Ujjayi is Ujjayi. Yeah. Ujjayi. All right. So we're going to give this a try. I'm going to time you guys for about 5 minutes. And this is all you're doing is ujjayi breathing. So you should feel again, your tongue will get tired. It's no problem. You give it a rest and then you can come back to it. And you will find that the further you're able to push back your tongue is the more you can connect to that sound, the ocean sound. And if you're doing it correctly, you will feel your throat muscles engaging. Okay. So we're going to be here for about 5 minutes. All right. So let's close down the eyes here. Rolling the shoulders down and back. Palms facing up and just connecting to your ujjayi breath. Okay, and slowly coming back to your normal breathing and coming back into the room. Yes. This one can make you cough too, can irritate your throat a little bit. So you can have some water. It's okay. How was that for everybody?
My eyes.
Sorry,
Gave you a headache
I think I was trying too hard to do it right.
with your tongue?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just,
like the straining?
hurt here a little bit.
Okay. Okay. Sharon,
For me, my eyes kept watering,
your eyes kept watering. Okay.
almost like I was involuntarily crying.
Yeah, that's a release.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
a lot. It wasn't like a little, it kept happening over and over.
A lot. But your throat wasn't getting itchy. Interesting.
Yeah,
Different things happen.
I didn't feel any of that. I mean, my tongue felt a little tender.
Yeah.
every now-
Yeah,
Yeah.
it gets tired.
But other than that, yeah, I was just
Okay.
was-
Yeah. Sit with that. We're gonna do a meditation too. So maybe we'll see if it comes up again. Christina?
Toward the end, my eyes started watering, but I don't know if that's because I was empathetic with Sharon or what happened, but I also was like hearing a noise back there, and I don't know if my tongue was just moving around. It wasn't ocean-like, it was kind of like more clicky, but I don't think that's what we were going for, but
Okay. It takes practice. This is not an easy one by any means. I've had like an absolute coughing fit in a week that I was like having a really hard time with my communication. So things will come up, right? Whether it's eyes watering, coughing, headache. So it's just to pay attention to what these things are. And of course, the difficulty of like your tongue feeling strained and then trying to get the noise right. So just give yourself a break in between. But you guys heard the sound that came from me, right? In the mic? Or you couldn't really?
I don't think I really did, to be honest.
Okay. I think what I'll do is I'll put it in the group. It'll probably pick up better on my phone. And you guys should be able to actually, let me try this. Let me see if it works right here. So this is where the Vishuddhi chakra is, right at the thyroid gland as well. So let me see if it works here. No? All right. Okay, I'll get you guys on WhatsApp.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
heard like a sound, but it sounded like a swallow. That was it, just once.
Oh, no, it's almost like ocean sound or like a hissing sound.
Neither.
Neither. Okay. You guys will get it on the WhatsApp for sure. Okay, so we're going to go into meditation. So if you guys can find yourselves comfy, okay, really relaxing, really sitting nice and upright, opening through the hips. And so with the meditation, we really want to connect with the breath and really go deep inside. And so it's really important that we do our best to remain as still as possible. Okay, certainly there's going to be like an itch or something that comes up, like you got to do it, right? But for the most part, you want to find as much stillness as you can, even in your fingers. So our mudra is the Kali mudra with the hands. So Kali mudra is an interlaced middle ring and pinky fingers, and also the thumb. And then we have index fingers touching. Okay. So with that, we're going to relax the shoulders and allow the spine to naturally align, lifting through the chest. And the hands are at the heart center, right? And pointing up towards the Vishuddhi chakra. Great. Okay. So we're going to close down the eyes here. Shoulders down and back. And just taking a few breaths here with no force. The focus is on the mudra and just attuning to all the feelings and the sensations evoked by this mudra. And then notice how your breath and energy are naturally and gently channeled into your throat and your neck. This is the seat of your voice. And remembering that Vishuddhi is purification. So this is your voice and your spiritual purification center. With each inhale, your throat center is bathed with soft blue cobalt energy. And with each exhale, tension from your neck and your throat is released naturally. So getting into your Khichdi mudra, we're going to roll the tongue up and back and begin with your Ujjayi breath. Deep inhalation into the nose, drawing that energy into the belly. Soft exhalation through the nose, feeling the activation in the back of the throat. And as tension is dissolved, a process of natural purification is beginning. Releasing all that limits your ability to align with your true being. So to support your purification today, we're going to go on a pilgrimage. We are going to stop along the journey to make offerings to temples dedicated to each of the 5 qualities of the Vishuddhi chakra. So you're going to begin by visualizing yourself at the base of a big mountain range. Just noticing the rolling green hills and the crystal clear river. And you begin to feel drawn to journey up the mountain to the more subtle realms of your being. Your path begins comfortably and easily, and as soon as you arrive at a small temple dedicated to the quality of commitment to your spiritual journey, You see yourself making an offering at the temple of commitment. Take several breaths to create an intention to make your spiritual journey an absolute priority. And so, as your pilgrimage proceeds through green field and flower trees, you stop at the next temple dedicated to the quality of your self-study. As you make your offering at this temple, take several breaths to clearly perceive that spiritual awakening only proceeds with the release of the beliefs that keep you from aligning with your true being. And now you journey higher still until you reach the next temple dedicated to the quality of non-attachment. Your ability to release more easily all that no longer supports your spiritual journey. See yourself making an offering at this temple, taking several breaths to envision yourself moving forward along your journey with greater simplicity. Recognizing that all that is truly valuable already resides within your own being. And soon you come to a hilltop with the world spreading out before you. And there you see the temple dedicated to awakening the limitlessness of your true being. And as you make an offering at the temple of limitless being, take several breaths to integrate the absolute knowing that you are inherently free. This is allowing you to continue your journey with great lightness and clarity. Now, with your pilgrimage complete, you sit in meditation, bringing your hands down to your knees in Chin Mudra. This is your index finger and your thumb together. Coming back to your normal breathing. Sense your mind silent and serene. And know that the purification process will continue all the way to the final awakening. I'm going to read an affirmation or a mantra for you. And you'll repeat this to yourself 3 times mentally. Through spiritual purification, I clearly perceive the freedom of my essential being. Through spiritual purification, I clearly perceive the freedom of my essential being. Through spiritual purification, I clearly perceive the freedom of my essential being. Through spiritual purification, I clearly perceive the freedom of my essential being. And now bringing your awareness to the Vishuddhi chakra, right at the pit of the throat. Envisioning a beautiful cobalt light getting bigger with each inhalation and smaller with each exhalation. Knowing that this energy center is your faculty of sound. The ascent of consciousness through the chakras is integrated with a musical scale. Each note of the scale corresponds to the vibratory level of consciousness through the chakras. And this scale is chanted in the form of mantra, or also through sound healing, sound therapy with instruments. With each inhalation and exhalation, just keeping your focus on this energy center. And also noticing anything that you're feeling in the body. Noticing any thoughts or emotions that come up in reference to this energy center. And then coming back to your visualization and your breath. Remembering that everything that comes into this energy center manifests into what must come out of this same center. And remembering that we can always choose love, always choose bliss. And bringing your hands together above your head, rubbing your hands together as fast as you can, generating some heat here between the palms. And then bringing your palms over the closed eyes, feeling that heat. And slowly opening your eyes inside the palms. When you're ready, bringing your hands down, bowing down to Mother Earth, thanking her for her teachings, and coming back into the space. Your knees. It happens. Pins and needles.
That's what I'm concentrating for, thinking about my keys in my purse.
Oh, things that come up. Okay, how are you guys doing? Did anything come up for you in that?
So for me, when you told us to like envision that blue, I don't know what you called it, a blue something.
Cobalt blue, actually, like this blue.
Okay.
Cobalt.
So at the beginning, when I would inhale, I was seeing like just brightness. And then as I continued,
Yeah.
it got dark. And I didn't have any bright blue. I had darkness.
Darkness. Okay. I would journal on that and see what comes up for you in that. It started off with lightness.
Yeah, so it was first like it was, yeah, but it wasn't blue. It was just like, it looked like, if I was to explain it, like dark with like these streaks of like as if light was trying to get through.
Oh my gosh. That
As I continued to breathe, it just, and I'd go in, it would get darker each time.
okay.
So there was no light.
So I would ask, in the desire to want to work through that energy that was there, are there feelings of resistance?
So is there like, are you asking me if I'm feeling like scared to work through this chakra?
Could be like fear.
I don't know that there's fear. I do believe that this is definitely one that I have to work through.
Okay.
I do feel very silenced
Mm,
in my life.
yes.
I filter who I am and my opinions and my thoughts all the time with every relationship I hold. I'm not exactly sure that there's any person in my, that I don't filter for. To make sure, like you said, like my excuses, confrontation, because I don't like it. Am I true to myself? 100% not. I filter lots.
Yeah, so that could be the lightness that wants to, sorry, you said something, Sharon?
I think that's why it's such a big one for me, because I know it's something that I want to be better with, meaning I know that the filtering is not good for myself, for my mental health,
Yeah.
And I guess from doing it for so long, I'm at a place where I'm like, shit, excuse my language, shit, like, is what I feel valid, or almost scared to feel or say what I feel, because now I've done it for so long that I'm not sure. Like a question, so then there's like that added filter.
Yes. I feel, Christina, I don't know if you're hearing this too, but I kind of feel like this also ties into what we were talking about with the heart chakra last week too. It's like, because the heart chakra really, for us as such feelers, determines the thought process in the mind. And then like, it's where we restrict ourselves or silence ourselves, or on the flip side, like we talk about the overactive, it's like not knowing how to control it. So harshness or
And you
Um,
know what? To be honest, I think like Christina had said, like I filter a lot for everyone. And then there's my husband, the one person that like finally maybe after like 8 weeks, he'll get it all. And it'll be like the outbursts, like the crazy Sharon with all the words and the feelings that probably doesn't even make sense.
mm,
I've suppressed it or filtered it. And
yeah,
then it's just coming out yeah, like on the other side.
yes, I hear you. And as you said, I don't like confrontation. I keep thinking about how many people I've heard say that and how many times I've said it. And I'm like, no one's ever going to say, I like confrontation. Let's do this thing. It's, again, this is what led me to chakra work. I was like, man, with so much anger, rage, or, sadness, or like being overly emotional on so many different levels, I'm like, there's got to be an easier way to deal with all this stuff. Like, how do we express and find ease in the expression in all of the parts of us, not just the parts that are good? Because it'd be a pretty boring world. Like, and how do you progress in relationships, right? Be it at work, with your kids, with your partners. If you can't fully express how it is that you feel and then identify where it actually comes from, then we're really, like you said, impacting our own mental health. It's like restrictive. We cannot take a step forward. And we've been led to believe, I think, I don't know if anybody agrees with this, that it is actually like it was the way to play it safe. We were kind of protecting other people. And then as you get older, you're like, this is not working. What they said would work is not working. You know? Yeah. Okay. I would definitely journal on this, but that's kind of what I heard. I'm like, it sounds like the lightness wants to come out, like you want to be free of it, but then it's dark, it's heavy. Yeah. Okay. Christina, anything?
I had a hard time, like, I was visualizing like going to the temples and everything.
Mhm.
I had a hard time, like, I was overthinking, like, what should I be giving? 'Cause
Oh,
it was like I was still here, but like trying to be somewhere else, and I just kept getting like pulled back.
okay.
What's that?
No, go ahead. I said okay.
Toward the end, though, I did feel like a little tingle in my throat, which I thought was kind of odd.
Huh?
Yeah, I'm pretty loud. Like, because, okay, so there's like work Christina, and then there's like friend and like relationship Christina, and they're pretty similar.
Yeah.
I'm not like loud opinionated. I'm just kind of like goofy, and like I definitely don't bite my tongue, but I always take into account like other people's feelings and how I word things, and like, because of just, I guess some people would say like I don't ever switch off my counselor, but I'm like, no, this is just kind of who I am because of
Mm.
my experiences and things like that.
Yeah.
But there are some times where I feel very quiet and
Mm.
very shut down, and I know the environments that put me in that situation. So I have spent time like reflecting on those, or like one of them popped into my head during the meditation. So it's just kind of, I didn't know if my mind was supposed to be thinking like concrete things, or if it was supposed to be more worldly, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. The two will cross over always in meditation. This is a thought process that comes in because we are here living amongst the world, right? Where meditation takes us, where this understanding comes from, like the ability to speak to ourselves better, right? Our inner guide, listening to the inner guide, or understanding that we actually have a right to speak is the space of not being of the world, is the space of knowing that we are so much more. And so when we are in a place of love and understanding who it is that we really are outside of the world, all of this can flow. Right? So even if there is a space that you feel like, oh no, absolutely not. Like I can't, I'm in a court of law right now. There's just some things I need to abide by. It's like, do you understand that no matter where you are and who you are around, you have that absolute right, and you can build that loving awareness to deliver exactly how it is that you need to, so you can feel safe in who you are. Right? So your mind will kind of play tricks on you in meditation and be like, oh, this is the situation. And what meditation is, come back to beyond the situation. Beyond the situation, your feelings. How do you feel? Where is it coming from? Right? How can you speak in a place that's out of love? Does that make sense?
I think so, yes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But this is meditation. It takes you out, you think about a thing because that's what triggers the feeling associated with the thing, right? And then it's like, okay, given that situation outside of it, who am I? Yeah, just like in my power, in this knowing. What is that voice? Rosini?
I don't know what to say first.
Yeah, that's okay. Go ahead. We just spit it out.
Well, my throat.
Okay.
I was coughing and I had some trouble focusing, but I really liked the stuff you were saying about going to each place and offering, a gift. And I was like with that. But then at some point I kind of drifted off and I started thinking about my keys. And
yeah,
brought myself back because
Yeah.
I tend to have this difficulty with losing things.
Okay.
Losing things and getting lost.
Okay.
But that's something else that doesn't apply to what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But I'm always very scared. And even here, I have to admit, I'm scared to share because I'm afraid of not saying the right thing or it coming out wrong, or like I'm just always thinking, okay, there's a right thing to say and a wrong thing to say.
No.
And I don't want, I want to say the right thing.
No.
But you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it all comes back to, I know where it comes from. It comes from my childhood.
Yes.
Because I had some severe childhood trauma.
Okay.
And that childhood trauma, like, what's the word I'm trying to look at? Like, figuratively speaking, cut out my tongue.
Okay.
And I was not able to speak. I was very shy. I was like invisible.
Yeah.
So my journey is becoming visible.
Yes.
And being able to
express,
yeah, that, like, be able to say who I am, like to be able to stand behind who I am.
Yes.
And,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I can't stop.
No, this is the space to cry. I know exactly what you're saying. I know how you feel.
Like, I could tell you a long story, but
Yeah.
we don't have time. So
Yeah.
I just make it nice and short.
I know what you're saying.
I'm trying to get my tongue back. Basically.
Yes. Your voice. Your voice.
Voice.
Yeah.
My tongue. Voice.
You just did it. You got it out. You said you're afraid to share, and you got it out.
Yeah.
Yes. It's very difficult in a home setting when you're restricted. And then also in society, there's certain places that you have to act a certain way and do a certain thing and not say too much or say too little, or, especially as women and working, but like there's so many layers outside of even if you were shushed at home or you tried to express something and you were told to like I was told to shut up, or
Mhm.
you know, like what you're saying doesn't make sense, or all these things, right? And it's valid.
Mm.
It's valid. So to speak to your point too, and this is why I said this in the beginning, the colors, the emotions, the feelings, the tingling in your throat, the coughing, the anger. Gosh, sometimes anger comes up, the crying, like so, and it's all right. It's all part of it. So there's no wrong way. Even the distraction that comes up in the mind, I applaud you for being here, because most people will say, I can't meditate. I've heard so many people say, I've tried so many times and I can't. And I'm like, none of us can. None of us are even given a structure in society that supports this silent time or actually thinking about one thing. I have a woman in my park class that said to me she went to Costa Rica and she's going to be moving back there because she said she was amazed that everybody every day did absolutely one thing a day. Like if they went to the market, they went to the market and they did nothing else. That was their big event, and it was supported and nurtured down there, you know. And she said here she just feels the need to go and do a million things again, you know. So quieting the mind takes practice.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you will be distracted by your keys. And then it's to say to yourself, like, in this moment, I am okay. Like nothing else matters, you know, and just keep bringing yourself back, just like the awareness back to your breath, you know.
I almost got up and went and checked it, but I kept myself sitting because I didn't want to interrupt
Yeah.
anybody.
There's an urge, right? And really to witness that, it's like, what is that feeling? What is that feeling of urgency that has me needing to get up right now? Like, it's okay.
There's always something to distract you.
Always something to distract you. Always, always, always.
Bringing your hands to your thighs, arriving in your body, feeling the rise and fall of your belly as you inhale and exhale. Bringing your hands to your heart center and opening with a mantra. Asatoma sadgamaya, tamasoma jyotyorgamaya, mrityorma amritam gamaya. Om. Namaste, everyone. Let's start with reaching the right arm up and leaning all the way to the left side, tenting your left fingers on the ground, pushing the ribs out to the side, really pressing the right knee down to the ground, and then reaching into the opposite side body. Inhaling, bringing your arms up to center, and then rotating towards the back, looking right behind you, keeping both knees pressed down here. Inhale, back to your right side. And now inhaling, arms up, and one more time, leaning over towards the left side. Maybe we can go a little bit deeper here. Maybe we can get our left forearm down on the ground, and then reaching to the opposite side. Inhale, arms up, and then again rotating to the back. Always remembering to keep the knees down. And now coming into an extended leg position and then reaching the right leg back for Ardha Supta Virasana. This is a one-legged hero pose here. So if it feels good, we can bring our left forearm down to the ground and then our right. And if it feels okay, coming all the way down. Pressing the knee towards the ground with each exhalation. Breathing here, slow and deep, in through the nose, out through the nose. Slowly coming back into seated, extend your leg forward, shake it out. And then bringing your left leg back, pressing the top of the foot towards the ground, bringing the knee towards the extended leg, and coming all the way back down, Ardha Supta Virasana. Breathing here. Slow and deep into the belly, in through the nose and out through the nose. And then slowly coming back up to seated, extend your left leg and shake it out here again. Next, preparing for your first downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana, coming into tabletop, curling the toes underneath, pressing into the finger knuckles, and pushing the armpits back towards the knees, maybe pedaling out through the back of the legs, really feeling a big stretch through the hamstrings here. Slow, deep, and controlled breaths. Allow your head to hang down low, releasing any tension in the neck, coming high up on the toes, and then pressing the heels all the way down. And breathing here. Now preparing here for your first warrior. Bringing the left leg up and forward between the hands, reaching up to the sky, interlacing the fingers and pressing into the index fingers. Extend your back leg, lift your heel up high, and sit into the hips. Virabhadrasana 1. Inhale, extending the front leg, reaching back with the right hand and reaching all the way back with the left into. And now propelling the hands forward, stepping it back into Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. Inhale, breathing through the back side body. Exhale, soft through the belly. Inhale, reaching the right leg up and bringing it forward between the hands. Exhale, reach up, Virabhadrasana 1. Again here, extend the back leg, drop your hips down to the ground, reach up towards the sky. Breathing here, slow and deep. Inhale, pivoting the back foot down. Viparita Trikonasana again, reverse triangle, sliding the left hand down the side body, squeezing the pelvis forward, pressing into the big toe of the front foot. And then inhale, propelling the hands down again, pivoting the back foot and finding yourself again in your downward facing dog, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Breathe here. Inhale, dropping the knees down to the ground. Ashtanga Namaskar, chin and chest to the ground, pushing yourself forward into Bhujangasana, baby cobra. Reaching up, shoulders in your back pocket. Inhale, bring it down. Exhale, bringing it back into Balasana, child's pose, reaching the hands forward here. Breathing. Inhaling again, bringing yourself forward, Ashtanga Namaskar. Pushing forward into Bhujangasana. Exhale as you lift up, squeeze into the glutes, shoulders in your back pocket. And then again, inhale into Balasana, reaching the fingertips forward, breathing into the armpits. And now inhale, bringing your body forward, lying completely on the mat on your belly. Preparing for Dhanurasana bow pose, extending your arms all the way back. And now bringing the lower legs up and grabbing onto the outsides of your feet. From here, pull the knees in together. Pull the shoulders down and back. Inhale, exhale, push your feet into your hands and lift through the upper body. Exhale, breathing here, turning your head towards the right side body. Inhale, preparing again for Dhanurasana, grabbing on to the tops of your feet. Bringing the knees in closer together, lifting the chest, and now pressing the feet into your hands, lifting through the chest. And inhale, bringing it down this time, rolling the shoulders forward and looking towards the left side body. Going into a counter stretch here. Bringing your hands to your chest, preparing for Balasana, reaching back with the tailbone. Feet are together, knees are open. Reach forward with the fingertips and breathing here. Inhale, bringing your body forward, preparing for Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog, curling the toes in, extend through the backside body, pressing into the shoulders here. Inhale, looking between the thumbs, jumper step forward, forward fold with a bent knee, and then exhale, lift to lengthen, really flattening out the back here. Inhale, reach up, Hasta Uttanasana, lifting through the chest, up towards the sky. Inhale, bringing it forward, hands down to your mat. And now preparing here for Malasana, opening your feet wide to the outside of the mat and then dropping the tailbone down, lifting through your chest and bringing your hands to Pranam-asana, using your elbows to push out on the inner thighs. And then taking your left hand, reaching towards the right ankle and then rotating that right arm up towards the sky. Inhale, bringing the right hand down, grabbing onto the left ankle and reaching up with the left hand, lifting through your chest here, breathing. Inhale, reaching back with the right hand and bringing yourself all the way down to the ground. Inhale, preparing here for bridge pose with a heart opening. So interlacing your fingers behind your back and then walking your shoulders in towards each other, pinching the shoulders as best you can. And now pressing through the heels and the big toe and doing your best to really lift through the hips on the inhale. Exhale, lift through the chest. Inhale, lift through the hips even higher. Lifting more with your ribs and holding here, pressing your forearms into the ground, doing your best to bring the heel of your palms together and breathing here. Inhale, bringing the bum down, releasing the fingers and adding a counter stretch here, bringing your knees into your chest and rocking side to side, feeling a nice gentle massage on the low back. Beautiful. And now extending the legs forward, pushing yourself up and coming into Paschimottanasana. So this is seated right at 90 degrees, opening through the chest, pressing the hands down into the ground, moving the fleshy bits away so you can get on your sit bones, flexing your ankles and your toes towards you, maybe using your hands behind you to stay nice and lengthened through the spine and pushing the chest towards the toes as we fold forward and do our best to get the belly to touch the thighs. Keeping the back as lengthened as possible, doing your best not to round. Then if it feels good, inhale, grabbing onto the ankles, bending the knees here, and then on your exhale, extend through the knees, really continuing to push the chest forward. Look directly at the toes, reach toward the toes with the breastbone. And if it feels good, we can take our hands and grab onto the bottoms of the feet. Use that to really push the chest forward and lift up as we do our best to get the belly to the thigh. Continuing to breathe here. And if you feel like you can go a little bit further, take your index finger and your middle finger and wrap them around your big toe. Push the elbows out to the side and pull on the big toe to get your chest closer to the thighs. Breathing here nice and slow, keeping your back as lengthened as possible here. Falling deeper into the stretch with each exhalation. Beautiful. And now slowly bringing yourself back up to seated. And then into a tabletop position here. Going to stretch through the back of the neck by placing the top of the head or the crown of the head directly on the ground, interlacing your fingers behind your back with a bent elbow. And then slowly push forward, chin to chest, and extend the arms straight out. Really locking out through the elbows and then inhaling, bend the elbows here, and then coming down to the third eye, forehead on the ground, breathing here. Inhaling And now rolling forward, exhale, pushing the chin to chest, reaching the arms behind the head, extending through the shoulders, feeling a nice big stretch in the back of your neck, slow and gentle with your breath. Finding ease here. Inhale, coming down again to child's pose and third eye to the ground, resting through the fingers and the elbows. Inhale, exhale, pressing the head into the ground, push the chin down to chest, see if we can reach back even more with the shoulders, noticing the space that's been created here in the shoulder joint. Breathing and extending through the elbows. And coming back down into child's pose, resting on the third eye, slowly releasing the fingers and allowing the shoulders to fall forward, hands resting on the ground here, and breathe. Inhale, bringing yourself back up to seated. Now extending the legs out in front of you, preparing for boat pose here, also known here as Paripurna Nirvasana. We're going to lean back with the arms extended, legs fully extended, really pressing the knees down, pointing the feet, really feeling your quadriceps strengthened, and slowly lowering down to the ground to where you can, holding as best you can for as long as you can, breathing here. If you need to take a break, feel free to drop the legs. Holding here if you can. If you've come down, bring yourself right back up. And coming into a V-sit with bent knees if you can, still pointing the toes. Feel free to tent your fingers on the ground. Using your hands as a little bit of balance here. And then if you can, slowly tap one foot down and then the other. Continuing to breathe, draw the navel in towards the center. Engaging through the pelvic floor. Having a sensation of picking up a blueberry and bringing it up an elevator through up to the heart center. Continuing to breathe here as you toe tap. You got this. Stay with it. If you've taken a break, come back into it. Keep going and slowly coming back up to seated, pulling the knees to chest, bringing yourself forward. And now coming into butterfly pose here. And now interlacing your fingers around the feet into Baddha Konasana, butterfly pose, pressing down through the chest and pressing the knees down. And then inhaling, coming into a lying position, pressing your hands down to the mat. And now extending your legs up, pulling the shoulders down and away from the ears. We're going to bring our legs up towards the sky, pressing into the heels here, really pulling the toes in towards you. And now lifting the hips up off the ground and then placing the hands at the small of the back, coming into plow pose here, otherwise also known as halasana. So we walk our shoulders in together as best we can, bring the elbows in as best we can, and then reaching back with the toes, extending through the knees as best we can, and then see if we can flex through the ankles and curl the toes in, staying here, breathing here, supporting the low back. Breathing with control, with ease, and then slowly lifting the left leg up to the sky, really engaging through the quad. Point the feet, reach up, and then slowly bringing the hands down by your side, staying connected to your center, coming down from the top of the spine. The tailbone is the last thing to hit the ground, and slowly bringing your knees into your chest, rocking side to side here. Beautiful. Breathing. Preparing to do this again. This time we are going to go from halasana to sarvangasana, which is a shoulder stand. So getting strong through the triceps here by pressing the hands into the ground, shoulders down and back, lift the heels to the sky. And now using the lower abdominals, push up, have your hands in the small of your back. Coming into halasana here, slowly with control and with breathing, Dropping the feet down to the ground, keeping the ankles flexed as best you can. Breathing here. Taking your time. Bringing the elbows in close together. Finding your breath here. Slow and deep through the nose. Slowly, with control, reach up towards the sky with the left foot. Lengthen through the body. Press up towards the sky. And now squeeze the glutes, pushing the hips forward. Beautiful. Holding here, finding your breath. Slowly bringing your hands down by your side. And again, with control, dropping the legs behind you, coming down from the top of the spine. Tailbone is the last thing to hit the ground. Wonderful. Bringing the knees into chest and rocking side to side here. Wonderful, beautiful practice. And now finding yourself in Shavasana here. Let your legs fall in ease and comfort, allowing your ankles to release. Moving your arms away from the body, palms up towards the sky here. Breathing, feeling the blood rush back into your extremities. Slow and deep through the breath here. Noticing any differences that you're feeling in your body from the beginning of your practice. Slowly wiggling your fingers and your toes, coming back into the body, reaching behind the head, creating space in the center of the body. Nice big stretch. And when you're ready, rolling onto your right side here, nice and slow. And taking a moment. And then using your left hand to push yourself up into a seated position to close out our practice, taking your time here when you're ready. And so sitting here with your back nice and tall, spine lengthened, bringing your hands to your heart center, closing out with 1 Om and 3 Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Thank you. Rubbing your palms over your head, creating heat in the palms, and then bringing it over your closed eyes. Opening your eyes inside the palms and then gently giving yourself a massage, taking this energy down the face. Beautiful practice, everyone.